The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 130. And we are back with more of May 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. This week, we're going to tackle the first 2 weeks of May TV for 88 in the WWF. Going to be a fun time. Going to see a debut coming up here as well. Keep that under the hat until we get there. Lots of sound bites and so much fun. So let's not waste any time, shall we, guys? Ray Russell here. Happy to bring all of the action to you as the host of the Grenade Show as we're moving into the summertime of 1988. Going to be a fun time, guys, and it all kicks off this week with the May 7th edition of the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling. All right, away we go. Superstars of Wrestling, May 7th, 1988. Tape back April 21st, New Haven, Connecticut at the Coliseum. It's Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura on commentary, guys, as we head off to the ring for the former tag team champion Strikeforce. Tito Santana and Rick Martel taking on the team of Terry Gibbs and Ron Ravishad. Not familiar with that one. We do get an insert promo here from the fans of the WWF. The question they're asked, can Strikeforce regain the tag team titles from Demolition? And even the fans seem unsure, a little split decision here. And airing that should plainly tell us the WWF has no plans of returning the belts to Tito and Rick at this point in time as they continue to build Demolition and manager Mr. Fuji up as an unstoppable unit. Meanwhile, in the ring for tag team action here, Strikeforce in firm control of Terry Gibbs early on, and then Ravishad tagging in for more of the same. Strikeforce just really solid as individuals, but also in this one, some decent double team work as well. The finish, going to see Rick Martel whipping Ravishad into the ropes. He comes rebounding right into a Tito Santana flying forearm. Going to give Strikeforce the win, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. As we are off to our very first update this week from Lord Alfred Hayes. The focus on this one is Bad News Brown, as we are reminded of his double cross on the Hitman Bret Hart at WrestleMania 4, the big battle royal. And that tells us that Bad News Brown is a man that cannot be trusted. Now we also take a look at his new finisher, the devastating Ghetto Blaster. Now there were a lot of moves me and my cousins, my brother tried in our backyards, but when it came to the Ghetto Blaster, we simply raised our foot in the air and said, Ghetto Blaster. We weren't trying to take that bump, but what an awesome finisher here by Bad News Brown, as he has become a force very quickly here. Short fashion in the World Wrestling Federation. It's even followed here by a quick Bad News promo who has menacing words for the Hitman. So that feud continues on, and perfect timing too. It's almost like they planned it this way. We head off to the ring for singles action. Standing in the ring is the Hitman, Bret Hart, scheduled to take on Van Horn. And we get an insert promo here from Bret Hart, who talks about growing up in his father Stu's dungeon. As Hart proclaims that he is a better man than Bad News because he was trained to be technical. The greatest technical wrestler in wrestling today, so says the Hitman. Is Hart going to continue here his solo run heading into the summer of 88? Noticeably absent at ringside. Yes, no Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but also no Jimmy Hart, no manager at ringside. What's up with that? Meanwhile, in the action, it's the Hitman delivering a backbreaker, the patented elbow drop, and a pile driver. Well, that's not very technical, Brett, but the pile driver going to get the Duke here for the Hitman, scoring the win 1 minute and 55 seconds. So the excellence of executing a win here this week with a large majority of the fans treating him as a babyface. Remember, Bret Hart is in a feud with Bad News Brown, but at the same time, he hasn't made that quote-unquote babyface turn, at least not completely yet. As we go off now to the Event Center, Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with a group of promos, including the Mighty Hercules, the Ultimate Warrior, and Demolition.
All right, hi, get everybody. Gene Okerlund back in the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. Folks, you have just seen Bret the Hitman Hart, and watch out. This young man, ever since what happened to him at WrestleMania 4, I'm talking about the double cross, is hot and he is on a roll. Sooner or later, the Ultimate Warrior will meet this man, Hercules.
Hey, Ultimate Warrior, don't bother beating on your chest. I got a guy here who's going to beat you all over.
Ultimate Warrior, look at me. Look in my eyes. You can see it. I'm crazed. This is what I think about every single day when I get in that gym, when I'm working out. Ultimate Warrior, this time will be the final confrontation. You've left some unanswered questions, but in my mind, the brain's mind, and all those people out there, they know, and now you will know. Hercules, you can turn the lights off, and you can run and hide, but the only person that you're hiding from, Hercules, is not the Ultimate Warrior, is not the fear, and it's great that you know the Ultimate Warrior can bring you. But you're only hiding from yourself, Hercules, because you know I'm the one that can bring you to be the ultimate man that you think you are. Come to me, Hercules. Prove it to me, the Ultimate Warrior, that you deserve to stand in the same circle.
All right, Ultimate Warrior and Hercules, of course, meeting in WrestleMania 4. They will be meeting again, I can guarantee you that. Earlier on, we saw Strikeforce, and right now, their main target, World Tag Team Champions, Demolition.
Let me tell you, Strikeforce, this time around, you be Master Fuji Torture Chimba. Axe and Smash will torture you slowly but surely.
You know, it all started out with a little bit of training we thought was tough. Well, that was the beginning. Because every match, it gets tougher and tougher. We train harder and we train harder. And we're always gonna win.
Let me give you a little bit of history. Now we're on top of the mountain. We've got the advantage of looking at everybody trying to sneak up on us. And when you get up to the top and you stick your little nose up there, what we're gonna do is kick your teeth in for you. Come up the mountain a couple times and we'll kick you down every time.
All right, Demolition, Axe and Smash, they are the new World Tag Team Champions. They're managed by Mr. Fuji. And right now, all they have to worry about is Strikeforce. And maybe another 8 or 10 tag teams here in the World Wrestling Federation.
All right, some fun promos there. Warrior and Hercules, their feud is not done yet. And Demolition on top of the tag team ladder. We'll have to wait and see who, if anyone, can knock them off. As we go back to ringside for the one-man gang with the Doctor of Style Slick in his corner. Gang going to take on Reno Riggins here, as it is a quick and dominant squash here by the one-man gang. Vince McMahon says Reno Riggins is climbing the ladder, pal. Reno climbing the ladder here in the WWF, as Jesse Ventura speculates that Riggins, well, he may have missed a few rungs here in this match with the gang, as it is the Gourd Buster, the old Master Blaster, getting the win in just 54 seconds. Now, during the matchup on commentary there, I talked about Vince trying to put over Reno Riggins as climbing the ladder. Well, Jesse Ventura knocking him down a few pegs, no pun intended. Vince asking Jesse if he made it to the top in just a few weeks' time, noting that it takes time to get to the top of the WWF. Well, Ventura agrees. He didn't ascend in just weeks. It only took 10 days to reach the top. Of course, McMahon scoffing at Jesse's commentary there. Ventura asks him, "What are you mad about? I admitted that it took me more than a week to get to the top." Classic body there. As we continue on, it is the summer season. So what do we get? It's more WWF ice cream bar promos this year. And here to eat a bar for us this week, it's one George the Animal Steel, who tells us, "Good, eat." Now, don't eat it too fast, George. We don't want you to get an ice cream headache. Bye. All right, back to the action. Jake the Snake Roberts taking on Scott Colantonio. And that entrance music, Jake making his way out, just makes the character now for me. I mean, obviously in hindsight, we heard it for so long, it becomes a part of Jake Roberts, but really, it just changes the mood. Hearing Jake's music begin to play into the ring and the crowd popping louder than ever for the character. And that may have something to do with the recent storyline being told. Of course, Jake Roberts here still very upset over the recent ravishing Rick Rude Cheryl Roberts debacle, and he takes it out here on poor Colantonio. Very aggressive is the Snake Man this week, delivering a gutbuster and then sending Scott to the outside where he clotheslines him off the apron down to the floor. And then once back in the ring, it's the DDT. Going to give the Snake Man the win in 1 minute and 8 seconds. And post-match, Colantonio introduced to Damien. As we roll off now to more Event Center with Mean Gene Okerlund. This time we're going to hear from Ravishing Rick Rude. Also, 2 men embroiled in their own feud. It's Outlaw Ron Bass and the Junkyard Dog.
All right, folks, you've just seen Jake the Snake Roberts from Stone Mountain, Georgia, one of the premier superstars here on the World Wrestling Federation. He certainly has got issue with one gentleman by the name of Ravishing Rick Rude and his Rude Awakening. Some of the things that Rick Rude has been doing as of late, I question. We got comments from the man himself.
You know, Roberts, out of the goodness of my heart, I chose your old lady to give a rude awakening. I chose her to have the thrill of a lifetime. But I didn't have any idea that she was the tasteless broad she was. Let me tell you something, Roberts. Nobody slaps my beautiful face. Man, woman, or child. I don't care if it's your old lady or not. And I knew what you were up to, Roberts. I had you in one eye. I knew what kind of snake you were. I knew you'd try to attack me from behind. But what I wonder, Roberts, is what hurt worse, watching me manhandle your old lady or feeling me manhandle you?
All right, fantastic physical specimen. He is Ravishing Rick Rude. There's something going on in the World Wrestling Federation that can only be settled in the ring between the Junkyard Dog and Ron Bass.
You know, being a big outlaw coming from Texas, you know, I've kind of trained a lot of animals, and I learned a long time ago, you don't reward them, you punish them. And Mr. JYD, when the time I get done punishing you, I'm going to say set, and you're going to hit it, brother. I'm going to say hill, and you'll be walking behind me. I say lay down, and you're going to hit that back. What I'm trying to say, it's in a training period, and Mr. Junkyard Dog, you're looking at the master trainer, the big outlaw, and Miss Betsy. You come and get it, baby, because I'm waiting on you.
You know, it's hard, man, when you walk into your house and the first thing you see is your little child run up to you and she said, Dad, are you all right? I saw this big old man jump on your back and trying to hang you, Dad. I was reading stuff like that in the history book, but I told her, phase that out of your mind, Keisha. Leave it up to your dad, because this is one thing I do, and that's fight real good.
I'll tell you one thing, you're seeing a very different right now, Junkyard Dog. Very serious, no nonsense. Always a free spirit up until this point, but I think Ron Bass has changed all of that for the Junkyard Dog.
So I love the way they're scheduling the promos here this week. We come out of a Jake Roberts match into a Rick Rude promo. Earlier it was bad news into Bret Hart, and of course we hear both from Bass and the dog there, who, dog not too happy. Bass making some comments about teaching the dog how to sit, roll over, and maybe play dead. As we roll back to the ring, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, with the bodyguard Virgil, taking on Bill Woods. And this may be the first time we've seen Mr. Woods in the ring, as DiBiase jumping Woods before the bell, never allowing him to remove his ring jacket for the duration of the match. Now, Woods does fire back here with a hip toss and a body slam on the $1 Million Man, but DiBiase quick to cut him off and take back over, as $1 Million Man in firm control from there. Nasty clothesline and a series of elbow drops before DiBiase going for his patented power slam and the $1 Million Dream, knocking Woods out. But instead of the KO win, DiBiase releasing the hold, still trying some things here with this new submission of his, releasing the hold. Bill Woods KO'd on the mat, and DiBiase going to make the cover and pin Bill Woods after the $1 Million Dream. Match goes 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And for good measure, post-match, Mr. Woods receives a $100 bill stuffed down his throat. So you got to love, in recent weeks, the layout of the DiBiase squash matches. It seems to be working with the crowd, as no matter who the enhancement talent is, DiBiase giving them a couple of moves early on to fire the crowd up, and then Teddy takes over and gets that ultimate heel heat in the process. So good stuff here from the $1 Million Man as he continues to chase the Macho Man for the WWF title. And speaking of the Macho Man, they do it again. What timing this week on TV? It's off to a special interview. Craig DeGeorge up on the platform with the undisputed WWF champion Randy Savage and the lovely Miss Elizabeth. So they're standing on the platform. Of course, Savage immediately notices that, hey, that's Ted DiBiase and Virgil in the ring. DiBiase just won his match. So Macho Man calling out both DiBiase and his bodyguard as they exit the ring and make their way up the aisle. And the heels, they're going to stop by the platform, of course, the bottom of the platform, and exchange some words with the WWF champion before finally leaving for the locker room. Savage again reiterating that the lovely Elizabeth is his inspiration, welcoming the challenge of the spoiled rich brat, Ted DiBiase. Dig it! The feud continues on, guys, into the summer of 1988. WWF champion Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase. And, oh man, we got a good one coming up next. I don't want to define good for you. It's subjective, of course, but I did post this match on my YouTube account as well as all across social media. So go check this out for anyone who has never seen this before. A lot of people have forgotten about it. A lot of people said they never knew this happened, including our very own Jamie Ward of the WrestleCopia brand. He completely blacked it out. And what I'm talking about is 6-man tag team action. Standing in the ring. Well, we got a lot to unpack here, so just bear with me. One team on one side, it's Outback Jack, Brady Boone, and Steve Blackman, taking on the trio of Bobby Heenan's Islanders, Haku and Tama. But it appears that the Islanders are going to come into this thing alone? A 3-on-2 handicap match? Well, they don't call Heenan the Brain for nothing.
Scheduled for one fall. In the ring to my right, at a total combined weight of 772 pounds. Here is introducing first Brady Boone. His partner, Steve Blackman. And their partner, OUTBACK Jack. And their opponents, to be led towards the ring by their manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, from the South Pacific, at a total combined weight of 501 pounds. Here are Haku and Tama, the Islanders.
Now, McMahon, is this a gutsy move by Heenan or what? I mean, he's bringing his Islanders into a handicap.
I have a very important announcement. And everybody listen up and listen up good. It's not going to be a handicap match. Oh no, the Brain has done it again. You see, we have a third Islander.
Wow.
A brand new Islander.
I knew he didn't have the kind of guts you were talking about.
Right now,
but he's got brains, though, don't
from the
he?
Isle of Samoa, at 248 pounds, High Chief, the Samoan Warrior, Aussie!
Hi, Chief. What's that thing he has over his shoulder? I don't know. Oh, look at the tattoos all over him. I think that's a fly swatter. Yeah.
So there it is, Bobby Heenan introducing a third Islander. Great sell job by Jesse Ventura there as well. It's the Samoan Warrior, High Chief Afi. You guys may remember him as CV Afi in previous incarnations here in the WWF. Complete with High Chief Peter Maivia's body tattoos down the thighs to the knees and up around the midsection there. I wrote, wow, talk about getting into your character. CV Afi leaves for a few months. He'd been doing jobs for the better part of, it felt like a couple of years here, and then he reappears here as High Chief Afi. Now, what you couldn't see in that soundbite is Afi's new attire. They've changed him up. We talked about the tattoos a couple seconds ago, but you have to figure being CV Afi and put in this position to be managed by Bobby Heenan, arguably the top manager in the WWF, and being a part of the Islander team, the Islander trio, he must have gotten so excited for this potential push that he forgot he's a heel, guys. So again, I go back to what you can't see in a soundbite. CV Afi being announced, making his way to ringside, slapping hands with the fans all the way down the aisle. I wrote, oof, got to get with it, Afi here. So for those curious, this is indeed, as I mentioned, the opposite team, the Steve Blackman, a.k.a. the Lethal Weapon himself, but with a glorious mullet attached here. And you got to remember, guys, this is taking place nearly a decade before his big quote-unquote debut in the WWF at the latter half of 1997. But Steve Blackman here in the WWF all the way back in 1988. As we get an insert promo from Bobby Heenan as the match gets going, he continues to gloat about his brains of adding a third Islander to the family, the highest of them all, the High Chief, the Samoan warrior, Afi. As the bell sounds, the action begins. The Island Trio attacking their opponents, but somehow it's the baby faces who clear the ring. Is Outback Jack going to get things going? Control over Tama at the top of the matchup, but it's Steve Blackman in, taking a beatdown from the heels and a Haku chop, nasty chop, and a drop kick on the future Lethal Weapon. Boy, wouldn't that have been a great showdown? Blackman and Haku in a shoot fight. Then from there, Brady Boone going to tag in, fare a little better, but he misses a corner attack and actually lands crotch first on the top rope. How do you do that, Brady? And now Boone going to get the beatdown too. Feels like he's in the match forever here. A long beatdown on Brady Boone as it's finally Outback Jack's turn to re-enter the ring, but he comes in throwing shots at Haku. Eventually, though, the Aussie eats the mat as well, so all baby faces have failed thus far against this Island Trio. Is Tama going to miss an elbow drop, and Outback Jack finally able to tag back in to Mr. Boone, who lands a few shots before taking a big back suplex from Haku, a walkout back suplex, laying out Brady for the Tama top rope splash as the Islanders pick up the win, 5 minutes and 51 seconds. Talk about an extended squash, an attempt to get this triad over here. The new 3-man Islander group match goes about 6 minutes. The entire segment goes something like 8 or 9. And you may have noticed as I was breaking down the matchup, no mention of High Chief Afi in the offense. Well, he did tag in, but it was very generic. And we'll get to a little bit more about that in just a second. But like I said, when I started this segment, lots to unpack here. Yes, we saw a very early version of Steve Blackman, a Steve Blackman sighting right here in 1988 Grenade. Who would have thunk it? Now, Steve going to go on to do some things in Stampede Wrestling before basically disappearing for years, only to pop back up in the WWF in 97. But this would also, guys, mark the final TV appearance of Outback Jack in the WWF. And we're sorry to see you go, Outback.
No worries, mate. I'm Outback Jack.
All right, and on the other side, the Islanders side, pretty cool idea on paper, adding not only a third member of the Islanders, but a leader, a high chief, if you will. Unfortunately, the choice here was CV Afi, who had steadily done more jobs than not on WWF TV over the past couple years. Now, they didn't even bother to change his name here. He's still Afi, and his entrance received almost no reaction from Bobby Heenan. And then the whole slapping the fans' hands on the way down. Come on, Afi. But CV Afi's offense didn't do him any favors either here. Nothing stood out. The very basics, by definition, from Afi in this matchup didn't even compare, didn't come close to working on the level of Haku or Tama. And then, on top of all of that, he makes his debut, and Afi has nothing to do with the finish of the match. Unbelievable. Now, I still like the idea, and maybe if they gave it time, we would have gotten an explanation here, maybe a vignette showing Afi's quote-unquote rise to a high chief over in Samoa. But unfortunately, this will mark both the debut and the end of the high chief Afi character with the Islanders here on national television. As not only does Afi leave us, not only does Outback leave us after this match, but Tama also has quit the WWF by the time this airs, and thus that makes this Tama's final appearance as well. So the Islanders, we go from 2 Islanders to 3, back to 2, and now down to 1, leaving Haku standing all alone by the end of this TV taping. Though, many would argue that Haku is a team in and of himself. As we roll on with this episode, Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk Man with manager Jimmy Hart feature match here, taking on Hillbilly Jim. And I don't know who Hillbilly beat for this title shot match. He talked about it. He talked about it last week at the end of the program, referring to it as his first ever Intercontinental title shot. Now, I don't even know the last time Hillbilly's been on TV proper, the syndicated shows, but everyone deserves at least one title match, I suppose. Oh, wait. It's no longer a title match. Okay, so last week, Hillbilly's selling it as a title shot. This week, Vince McMahon calls this non-title. So be it. So the bell sounds and Honky doing what he does best early on in this one, and that's stalling. Big Jim going to get the best of the Intercontinental Champion, however, and the fans going to eat it up as Hillbilly lands a big boot and gives us a cartwheel to celebrate. And then from there, Hillbilly locking in the big bear hug as he drives Honky back into the corner. Hillbilly going to back up, rush in with a big charge, but it's Honky out of the way. Hillbilly hitting the corner hard, and the Honky Tonk Man with a roll-up schoolboy and hook of the overalls. Honky Tonk Man going to steal the win here in just 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Wow. And then post-match, Honky wanting to celebrate outside the ring on the microphone, trying to sing for his hundreds of thousands, millions of fans worldwide. But an upset Hillbilly Jim comes out after the champion post-match, but it's a little too late, Hillbilly. Honky Tonk Man retains, well, it was non-title, but he gets the win. And Hillbilly Jim, he makes his obligatory one televised match appearance for the year of 1988. See you again in 89, Hillbilly. As we roll off now, guys, back to the event center yet again. Mean Gene Okerlund talking with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Andre the Giant, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
All right, you've just seen the flamboyant Honky Tonk Man. This gregarious individual, of course, is the Intercontinental Champion here in the World Wrestling Federation. He's managed by the hairless and sometimes spineless Jimmy Hart. Right now, a lot of attention is being paid to this man. I'm talking about Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
I don't know about being a great champion. I think you're a lucky champion. Just a bucket of water's the only reason that your slimy ducktail's still on your head, boy. Yeah, that's right. Because me and my boy here, we got a plan, see? No Jimmy Hart! No one to save you. Just you and me. What you gonna do now? Got something up your sleeve, maybe? Yeah, I got something up mine. And it ain't no flesh, brother. It's cold steel. And it knows how to do the job. I proved I can put you to sleep. It's easy. I just do it again and again and again.
All right, Brutus the Barber doing some strutting and cutting in the World Wrestling Federation. He desperately wants to be the Intercontinental Champion. Big match, big man. Hacksaw Jim Duggan will be meeting this man, Andre the Giant.
You know, I'll tell you, there's something wrong with a guy. There's something wrong with a guy that would walk into the ring and challenge this man. There's something wrong with a guy that would pick up that board and hit him and knock him cold. Duggan, you've started something that nobody's going to finish except one man, Andre the Giant.
Cross-eyed Duggan, you like to go along with that 2x4. I tell you one thing, come in the way when anything you want, Duggan. Well, and remember one thing, you're going to face me. And believe me, you never wrestle against a big guy like me. Should ask to some other guys.
Oh, let me tell you something, Andre the Giant. There's an old World War II song that goes, we've done it before and we can do it again. Well, Hacksaw Duggan hits you right in between the eyes, and like a big redwood, you hit the ground. And don't be surprised if old Hacksaw keeps this 2x4 within reach. And Heenan, let me tell you something. You keep your nose out of my business, or I'll get a toothpick and work you over with it. Tough guy. Ho!
All right, that match has just got to happen. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, a very proud American, and of course one of the biggest men in all of professional sports. Truly a legend and a phenomena. The one and only Andre the Giant.
Boy, you gotta love the way they're coming in and out of the promo segments. The feuds make sense. Honky Tonk Man scores a win, and we go into an interview with his nemesis at this point in time, Brutus Beefcake. And Bruti, he says he's gonna cut the ducktail off the head of Honky Tonk. Not a great promo as Beefer, but we also hear from Andre the Giant and Cross-Eyed Duggan. Cross-Eyed Duggan and Andre embroiled in their own feud as Hacksaw showing off his brand new t-shirt. Buy it, tough guy. And as we conclude this week's Superstars episode, it is May sweeps in full effect. And in a total shocker, guys, we go from Honky Tonk and Hillbilly. Well, now we learn that next week it's Boris Zukov squaring off against Hulk Hogan. Bet you guys didn't see that coming. And right now, we're going to hear closing comments from both men.
Here now, comments from Zukov and family.
Slick, stay away, Slick. Stay away.
Look it down, comrade. I see a lot of little Hulkamaniacs who next week, Hulk Hogan, I'm going to be crying very much when I show you the Russian superiority more powerful than Hulkamania.
Oh, yeah, you better believe, dudes. I've heard it more than once. I've heard the Slichter come out here and say the Russians, the Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkov, Boris Zhukov, that they're the superior race of people. I've witnessed those dudes standing tall, looking down at all my little hucksters. Let me tell you something, brothers. This is the home of the brave, the land of the free, the Purple Mountain's majesty, the amber waves of grain, truth, justice, and the Hulkster's way. And right here, next week, I'm gonna prove that for 4.5 long years, brothers, the largest arms in the world have reigned supreme. And me and all of my little Hulkamaniacs are the superior race of people.
Well, join us next week, ladies and gentlemen, when Hulkamania will be running wild on the superstars of wrestling.
All right, so standard heel comments there from Boris Zhukov. Meanwhile, Hulk Hogan stating that his Hulkamaniacs are the quote-unquote superior race. Brother. Yeesh. So next week, unbelievable, Hulk Hogan, it's been nearly a year, guys, since he's been on syndicated TV in action. The Hulkster versus one half of the Bolsheviks right here next week on Superstars. As we roll off now to the May 8th edition of the WWF's Wrestling Challenge. All right, here we are, Wrestling Challenge for May the 8th, tape back April 22nd, Springfield, Massachusetts, at the Civic Center. Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon on commentary for this one, as we go off to the ring for the British Bulldogs. Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid, and Matilda's back. They're taking on the team of Randy Bryan and Steve Lombardi. And right away, we get an insert promo from the Bulldogs and Matilda. They approve of Jack Tunney's recent decision to ban Bobby Heenan from wearing that attack dog suit in future six-man matchups upcoming at the house shows. Meanwhile, we cut back to commentary for this match, and Bobby Heenan obviously upset and continues to complain that he's being prevented from protecting himself from that rabid animal. So that's where we're at in the storyline there with the Bulldogs and the Islanders. The feud continues on the house shows, at least for now. Remember, Tama has quit, so it's actually High Chief Afi subbing in, replacing Tama for the next several weeks on the house shows. As the action gets going, the Bulldogs working over Steve Lombardi early on, and then Randy Bryan tagging in and takes a nasty clothesline from Davey Boy Smith, and Bryan going to take a bump over the top rope out to the floor, and then back in the ring waiting for Dynamite, who, not to be outdone by Smith, delivers his own nasty clothesline on poor Randy, just brutalizing Bryan in this matchup before Smith landing his running power slam, and then Davey pressing Dynamite high in the air, dropping him in for the diving headbutt on Bryan. Going to give the Bulldogs the win, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So based on the insert promo and the commentary in that matchup, it would be very clear to everyone that they're continuing forward with this Islanders-Bulldogs feud. In fact, there's a couple promos lingering around that would suggest it was actually the Bulldogs who are going to be bringing a weasel suit to the ring for the matchups against Bobby Heenan in future weeks and months. But of course, with Tama departing and Afi getting the boot, that storyline's going to completely change, and it'll actually be the Ultimate Warrior who winds up carrying that weasel suit. Fun fact, guys, as we roll off now to Special Report and Lord Alfred Hayes.
Hello everyone, this is Lord Alfred Hayes with this special report, which will focus on a controversial claim by Dino Bravo that he has set a new world record for the bench press at 712 pounds. Most observers who were present believe the claim to be invalid. They point out that Bravo appeared to be assisted by his spotter Jesse Ventura. The French-Canadian strongman flatly denies this. Let us take another look at the lift, and this time you judge for yourself. Did he cheat or not? If you're still undecided, listen to a man who has set records and won gold medals at the Pan American and Olympic Games, Ken Patera.
Dino Bravo, for several months now, you've been claiming to be the world's strongest man. Well, I haven't seen your name in the record book yet. As a matter of fact, your effort with 712 pounds in the bench press look more like a tag team effort with Jesse Ventura lending more than a little bit of help. Now, if you want to talk about real medals and real records, just take a look here, Dino Bravo. I have 3 smaller medals here from the Pan American Games. One for the press, one for the snatch, one for the clean and jerk. And this large one here proclaimed me the world's strongest man. Now, Dino Bravo, if you want to challenge me to any feat of strength, bending bars, bending spikes, doing bench presses, doing military presses, it doesn't matter. Because I'm not backing down from you or anybody else, so bring it on.
A forthright Patera dispels Bravo's claims of a world record as being contrived. In fact, Bravo's insistence has angered the Olympian to a boiling point. This situation has now become highly explosive. With this special report, I'm Lord Alfred Hayes.
So once again there, we went all the way back, sigh, to the Royal Rumble to witness Dino Bravo and Jesse Ventura setting the world bench press record. We then heard from Ken Patera, who is disgusted. It only took him 4 months to catch on. Hey, Ken? But Patera disgusted at the claims that Dino Bravo has made that he is the world's strongest man. Kenny pointing out that that bench press record was bogus, and it's not in any record book that he's aware of. So Ken then showing off his gold medals that he won in the Pan American Games. Those are legit medals, by the way, guys. And Patera going to issue a feat of strength challenge to Dino Bravo in order to determine the real strongest man in the WWF. Bet you can't wait for that one, eh, guys? As up next on Wrestling Challenge, a quick replay from Saturday night's main event. We go back in time to see Brutus Beefcake over Dangerous Danny Davis with alternate commentary. It's no longer Vince and Jesse, but to keep it quote-unquote up to date, it's Monsoon and Heenan doing commentary this time around. And if you missed it, you know Beefer goes over and cuts the hair of Dangerous Danny here. And they're honestly trying to sell it like it's a part of Wrestling Challenge, as if it didn't air on NBC. And why not? It's at the same exact taping, so even the normal challenge matches have had the Saturday night's main event banners in place. So it is Beefcake over Danny Davis, kind of continuing that story of Beefcake against Jimmy Hart and Honky Tonk Man. As we go off now to the event center, Mean Gene Okerlund, we're going to hear from the likes of the Islanders, the One-Man Gang, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
All right, here we go again. Tremendous World Wrestling Federation action just around the corner. You have seen Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and oh my, how about the Beefer working over Dangerous Danny Davis? I always said that young man could use a haircut anyway. We saw the British Bulldogs earlier on. Let's hear from the Islanders.
You know, Davy Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. Kid and boy, that's all they are a couple of punks. These two are men.
You know something, Bobby? You are right. They're kids, and they're punks, and they're stupid. You're looking at one of the best tag team in the WWF, Bulldogs. But if you want some more, come on.
You see, in WrestleMania 4, these two men wiped the mat with you. And I'm going to guarantee you something. It's going to happen again. Bulldog. Bring out Matilda.
All right, the Islanders have got to have British Bulldogs and even Matilda on their mind. I know one man does, and that's Bobby the Brain Heenan. Hey, what about this for a matchup? Bam Bam Bigelow meeting the big one-man gang.
You know, the question has been asked. What is this country's most difficult problem that it faces today? Well, you know, one answer that has been argued, and that is gang violence. Get it? The big 747, the one-man gang. And he's about to get down on you, Bam Bam Bigelow. And the end result, defeat.
You know, I've noticed an awful lot of people around the WWF just love to start trouble. Well, you're looking at a man right here that doesn't like to start trouble, but we sure as heck can finish trouble, and one-man gang, you're on our list.
Oh, let me tell you something, Slickster. Have you got another thing in common? You think that one-man gang's gonna come in and wreck my world? Well, you and the gang are history. You're going down. You are history. Bam! 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 Bam!
All right, Bam Bam Bigelow. We're getting comments from him and manager Oliver Humperdinck. Obviously, the doctor of style, putting in a word or two on behalf of the big man at 6'9.5", 483 pounds, one-man gang.
So the Bammer's still here. He and the gang headlining those C shows, the Islanders, still in full effect in mocking the British Bulldogs as we go back to the ring for the Ultimate Warrior taking on the Conquistador. Numero uno is Warrior Man rocking the purple this week. He looks pretty damn cool in it, I must say. Fun oversell bump early on here by Conquistador Jose Estrada, who eats a Warrior punch and goes flying over the top rope all the way into the aisle. Masked Man finally back in the ring, going to the eyes of the Warrior, but UW coming right back, hitting a big power slam and a stiff running clothesline on the Masked Man. And what a pop for the Ultimate Warrior as he lifts Conquistador into the air for the big Gorilla Press Slam and the splash. Going to give Warrior the win, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. And we just saw the Warrior in action, so you may have guessed it, guys. We're off to the Event Center, where we will hear from the Mighty Hercules. We're also going to hear from the Killer Bees and the fabulous Rougeau brothers.
All right, you have just seen in action the Ultimate Warrior, and this guy absolutely surprising. Surprising a lot of people, including me, and certainly surprising a lot of people, including a man sooner or later he's going to meet once again. I'm talking about Hercules. They met in WrestleMania 4, and they're going to meet again. You are Hercules.
You know, it seems to me nobody really knows who the Ultimate Warrior is, or where the Ultimate Warrior is from. But I know where you're going, Ultimate Warrior. Called intensive care.
Ultimate Warrior, you know me. I sit at the right hand of Zeus. I have risen with the Phoenix from the white-hot heat below to the tops of Mount Olympus. I've talked to the talker of books. I've dreamed with the dreamer of dreams. And I've been in your mind, Warrior. Yes, I've been in your mind. And I planted that seed of fear that you paint that mask on, that mask of fear. This time, Ultimate Warrior, ask yourself a few questions. Do I really want it that bad? And you know what the answer will be. No!
All right, manager for Hercules, of course, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Hercules is one of his premier family members. This could be a great one. The Killer Bees meeting Canada's Rougeau brothers.
Hi, we're the Rougeau brothers. I'm Raymond, and this is Jacques. Yes, I'm Jacques, and this is Raymond. Don't get it wrong. You know, Killer Bees, there's one thing I want you to keep in mind. Is when we get in the ring, there's no enemies right now. A few of you fans out there have been booing us. We don't know why, because we're nothing like Dino Bravo. I made it clear once, and I'll do it again. We don't like Dino Bravo. We like United States. So, Killer Bees, let's go in there and have a scientific match, and may the best team win. Raymond, we're going all the way.
Raymond and Jacques, the Rougeau brothers. Same size, same style. Matter of fact, Jacques Rougeau throws a heck of a drop kick. And they're after the same thing we are, Brian. They want to get in the ring with the Demolition for the World Tag Team Championship belts. But they have to get by us. And that's not going to be easy, because we're on a roll. Isn't that the truth?
That's right. You know what? I stopped by Big Hazel's yesterday, and she said, I know you're wrestling those Rougeau brothers, and they're really tough. But I want to give you a little advantage. And she gave me 2 extra quarts of Orange Blossom Special because she said, I don't want you to run out of gas against the Rougeaus.
All right, the Bees jumping Jim Brunzell and his partner B. Brian Blair. And what about the fabulous Rougeaus? Jacques and Raymond. They're a couple of Canada's greatest, no doubt about it. Stay tuned. We're right back with more action.
So Hercules still gunning for the Warrior after WrestleMania, wanting that revenge win. Meanwhile, we also hear from the Rougeau, the fabulous Rougeau brothers. Despite being from Montreal, they say they are nothing like that evil Dino Bravo. As the subtleties, they're still there, but it's slowly becoming obvious that the Rougeaus may be making a switch. And then last up there, we hear from the Killer Bees, still making trips to Hazel's Honey Hut, is B. Brian Blair. And I got a message for the Bees. You guys are going to need all the extra quarts of Orange Blossom Special that you can get to defeat the fabulous Rougeaus. As we continue on, more action in the ring. Bad News Brown taking on Reno Riggins. As we get an insert promo from the Hitman Bret Hart, holding up the brand new edition of the WWF magazine with a feature on Bad News Inside. Hitman promising to write a new chapter after he beats Bad News Brown. I wonder who thought of that clever tie-in with the magazine. Couldn't have been Bret. As Brown just going to demolish poor Reno Riggins here, dropping him gut first, not throat first, but gut first across the top rope. And then it's the Ghetto Blaster on Riggins. Bad News going to put his foot on the chest of Reno to score the win. 2 minutes and 34 seconds as we are off to a special interview. Up on the platform, it's Craig DeGeorge standing by with Jake the Snake Roberts and the Snake Man out here in his brand new yellow Jake Roberts t-shirt. Sell some more summer merch here. And you want to talk about over with the fans. Jake Roberts says he plans to kick Rick Rude's ass. Oh, DeGeorge reminds Jake that you can't say that word here on TV, but the Snake Man very upset, and he continues to get more angry as DeGeorge makes an enemy of Roberts by simply relaying a message from ravishing Rick Rude. DeGeorge says that Rick Rude claimed that it was Cheryl who came on to Rick, not the other way around. Now, an angry Jake Roberts here, warning Craig of the dangers of being a messenger. Jake Roberts looking to haul off and smack Craig DeGeorge, and I don't think too many people would have complained if that had happened. As Roberts says, Rick Rude wasn't man enough for Cheryl, and soon the ravishing one will find out he's not man enough for the Snake Man either. So fun little promo there. Jake bringing the realism to the storyline, as usual. Jake Roberts looking for revenge on the womanizer Rick Rude. As we continue on with Wrestling Challenge, another replay from Saturday night's main event. This time it's the matchup involving Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Mighty Hercules. Of course, we know there's going to be an attack from Andre the Giant and Ultimate Warrior out to make the save. So two storylines with the price of one there. Hercules Warrior, Hacksaw Andre. And again, alternate commentary done by Heenan and Gorilla for that one. As we go off to one final matchup here this week on Wrestling Challenge, tag team action, Demolition, the champs, with Mr. Fuji in their corner, taking on Jerry Allen and Nelson Valu. Well, I always wondered when it would start, and on commentary here, Bobby Heenan already starting to lay in his digs on the brand new ring announcer, Mike McGurk. Bobby says, a girl named Mike? What's her brother's name? Sally? You gotta laugh at Bobby Heenan, right guys? The match gets going though, Jerry Allen looking bigger than ever here, but I don't know if that's gonna help him in this matchup. As usual, it is demolish and destroy here from the tag team champions. First to Jerry Allen, then to Nelson Valu. Smash gonna clothesline Valu's face off, and then a hot shot by Smash into an axe clothesline on the apron, and the crowd actually popping loud for the heel Demolition decapitation finisher on Valu. Gonna give the champs the win, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Heel demos getting pops from the fans. Clearly Vince has created yet another cool heel for the fans to enjoy. As we close out Wrestling Challenge, one more Event Center soundbite for you guys. Mean Gene Okerlund going to talk to the former champs, Strikeforce, and the brand new WWF champion, Randy Savage.
All right, we've just seen the Demolition Axe and Smash in action. Of course, they are managed by the nefarious Mr. Fuji with the sins of mankind, of course, written across his face. Mr. Fuji leads, by the way, the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions these days. And I think one big concern for Demolition right now has got to be Strikeforce, Tito Santana and Rick Martel. They have told me privately, they have told you publicly, they felt they were jobbed out of the titles in WrestleMania 4 in Atlantic City.
Yes, Fuji and Demolition, just like the thieves that you are, you stole the belts from Strikeforce. Yes, at WrestleMania 4, everybody's seen it. But you know, crime doesn't pay, and it's not going to start paying now. No, sir, you can take Strikeforce's word for it, because we're coming after you, and we're going to take away from you what belongs to us, the Tag Team Championship.
You know, there's only one good thing about Demolition and Mr. Fuji, is how they lie. They stand here and look at you straight into the eyes and tell you that Fuji did not get involved in that match in WrestleMania 4. They've convinced themselves, but you haven't convinced anybody else. Millions saw what happened. When it's over and done with, the truth will come out, baby, and the belts will come back to their rightful owners, Strikeforce!
All right, from talk about tag team champions in Demolition from the Strikeforce, let's go to the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Number one contender for the world champ these days happens to be Ted DiBiase.
One grain of sand in the Sahara Desert loses its identity, yeah. When you look at the complete and utterly unbelievable and classy picture, yeah. Like possibly the First Lady of Wrestling right now, yeah. Class personified, yeah, Ted DiBiase, but your attitude is real, real bad. You got a bad attitude, yeah. And your attitude's the type of an attitude that I concentrate on, yeah. Because when you, yeah, raised your voice, yeah, and demanded the big rematch, yeah, WrestleMania 4 a nightmare for you, but not like when you come after me this time. I'm gonna beat you, yeah.
All right, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, he's number one of the world and number one of the World Wrestling Federation as our undisputed champion. He's also managed by the First Lady of Wrestling. I like her a lot. I'm talking about the lovely Elizabeth. Right now, Macho Man Randy Savage has got to worry about the tests of time in being champion.
So there it is. Strikeforce still coming for Demolition and the tag team title belts they should have never lost. Meanwhile, the Macho Man bringing in the lovely Liz, reassuring everyone that DiBiase will fail once more.
Sweet dreams you can't resist. N-E-S-T-L-E-S. A dream as sweet as this. N-E-S-T-L-E-S. Creamy white, dreamy white. Nestle makes the very best. N-E-S-T-L-E-S. Sweet dreams you can't resist.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron. I'm talking about that $5 all access tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts for just $5, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. We also offer remastered versions of the earliest episodes of The Grenade Show, covering the 1989 NWA project. Includes enhanced sound quality, plus new content and conversation never heard before. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series, covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. And for those who like all of their podcasts in one nice, neat little pile, the WrestleCopia Patreon also offers a Patreon exclusive Spotify account. You can actually go over to your Spotify with your WrestleCopia Patreon credentials. Instead of listening or downloading directly from Patreon, you can go over to Spotify, listen to all the latest shows, including all of the early releases. And you get all of that and so much more for just $5. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
Wham!
happen.
As we roll on, we continue on to Primetime Wrestling Monday night, May the 9th, hosted by Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primetime Wrestling. I'm Gorilla Monsoon, and
I'm your host,
the
Bobby
Destroyer. Boy, am I mad at you.
You just found out World War II's over. You don't find something to pick on me about.
No, I found out that after we broke last week, you went out in the back and messed around with the crew, was putting together the new set, and you broke the piece that goes in the middle. Now we got to wait for that to be replaced.
I didn't break. I went out there. Listen, and the guy's name was
Harold.
Harold. And he asked me if I'd give him a hand. He said, "You're the brain. Help me with this piece in here." Well, whoever made the thing didn't fit the right pieces right.
Why didn't
so
you
I gave
just
it a little push.
mind your
Thing
own
cracked.
business?
I'm trying to help.
Yeah, you're trying to help.
So you try to do a nice thing for somebody, and they use.
Now we got to wait another week at least for that
least.
piece to be replaced.
They said at least. They had to send
That's what he said. Yeah.
I wouldn't believe Harold anyway.
Well, I'm not gonna let you spoil this week's Primetime Wrestling because we've got a blockbuster lined up. We've got some exciting matches. The feature, of course, is Bam Bam Bigelow against the Honky Tonk Man. He could get squashed like a grape out there.
It could be a new intercontinental.
Your guy's
champion.
going to be here this week. You got a lot of your guys around.
Oh yeah, they're all over the place.
They're all over the place. Going to take a look at Herc. In fact, that's our opening matchup. Hercules against my pal, the 2x4 swinging. The policeman of the World Wrestling Federation, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
The only human being with terminal case of termites.
Yeah, well, the termites might be in the hair of Andre the Giant. So without any further ado, let's go to ringside as we kick off with a Herc against
I bet you I get
Hacksaw.
that set all set up again.
Well, we've been promised now a couple of times a brand new set here on Primetime, but still no delivery. And according to Gorilla, it's all thanks to the Brain, who went out to quote-unquote inspect the new set and left it broken last week, so it's going to be at least another week before we see this brand new set. But right now we roll on. Mean Gene Okerlund going to stop by. He too wanted to see the new Primetime set.
Well, we're back, folks, in another one of the premier matches here this week on Primetime Wrestling coming up. Oh, listen to that. What a catchy tune that. Mean Gene.
Hey, Gorilla.
Gene Okerlund, how are you?
I wanted to drop by and see
What
your
are
new
you doing
set. I
here?
understand you're going to have a new set on Primetime
Please,
Wrestling.
what a sore spot that is with me right now. Well, last week the set was delivered here, and this piece of garbage right here, after the program was over, went out there, stuck his 2 cents in, and broke one of the middle pieces out.
What are you doing trying to do that, Heenan? You've got enough problems with
Wait a
Coco
minute,
Beware.
wait. What are you, a building inspector? Come in here whistling that stupid Weasel song? And don't call me Weasel.
What kind of song?
I never
He's
called
singing, he's singing that Weasel song.
Wait a minute. Did you say that I called you a
Yeah,
weasel?
you said it right there.
I
You
didn't
called
say
me a
I
weasel.
couldn't.
He
You
never
heard him
said a
call me
word. I
weasel.
said it was a catchy
No,
tune.
but he said weasel. He's always said weasel.
I don't have to take that from a lush.
Let
Anyway,
me-
go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Gene. I know that you're up to date on what's going down here in the World Wrestling Federation. The piece of garbage he's associated with ravishing Rick Rude and what he did to Jake the Snake Roberts' wife.
I'll tell you what, that's probably one of the worst things I've ever seen. And as
it
far
is
as you're behind this.
Hey, don't point at
you're
me.
talking to some flasher on 42nd at Broadway
don't you
in
go
New
talk
York
to me and
City.
point your fingers at me. You came out here to see a set.
He's
Remember
a
what happened the
guest.
last set you looked at?
He's
you
a
got your face
guest
slapped.
here, a guest.
Oh, I didn't
My
invite him.
guest.
I am the host.
I didn't invite him, but he just
You
walked
want me
in.
to
He said,
get him
"Wait a
out of
minute,
here?"
I'll tell you
Just
what.
sit down there and be
Gorilla, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
I don't particularly care for the way Ravishing Rick Rude conducts himself.
I agree.
I like the way you're on a roll. I'll tell you what, with the popularity of primetime wrestling, I see the ratings out.
Oh, well,
I
thank you
get them,
very
and I'll
much,
tell you,
Gene.
you're doing a whale of a job. You've got to be congratulated.
He's
very
doing a
much. I
job.
appreciate it.
What about me? Am I a sidecar? I'm the host of this show, Bobby.
You
the Brain.
resemble that remark.
I'll tell you what, I wanted to stop by and see the set. Sorry it wasn't up, but
Well,
maybe I can catch it next
Check
week.
with us
Hey, you
another
wanna
time,
catch
Gene.
them?
It'll
How'd you like
be-
to catch this
Will
one
you
on
stop
site?
with
What-
these
what-
tools?
Please.
I have to live with it.
see
You know where the
thanks
parking
again
lot
for
is?
coming by.
Then get in
I
it.
know where the
Let's go to
parking lot is.
ringside
I
right
wanna get to
now.
the men's
Jake
room.
the Snake
For
Roberts
now,
taking
I'll
on
invite
the
my guests.
Hammer of Valentine.
You want to
Will
start
you-
something? I'll be...
So Mean Gene whistling into Pop Goes the Weasel, offending the Brain, obviously. Gorilla informing Okerlund that, well, Heenan got involved and now we must wait for the new piece to be constructed. But the show is not over yet. More discussion as the program continues on and the brand new set being made. Some of the pieces are here already in studio. But I've spliced together a few sound bites here to kind of tell the story throughout the episode. Is Bobby Heenan going to leave the primetime studio at one point during a matchup to quote-unquote check out the new set? And when he returns, we see his thumb is all bandaged up. Then later in the program, we're going to hear Gorilla come back from checking what was going on with the new set. And when Gorilla returns, we see the back piece. The back half of the set is here in studio. But yet in the process, another piece broken by Bobby Heenan.
Well, Damien didn't get a chance to get any part of the hammer, but it was a tremendous... Where were you? What were you doing out there? Haven't had a chance to go out there and see yet.
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. I was supervising the unloading of the set.
I told you to stay away from those workers, did I not? What was that screaming I heard out there? Why are you hiding this hand? What is that?
Raul, he slammed the car door on my hand, the truck door. It's nothing I did.
We can't take... I'm going to go out and check as soon as we get into this next segment. We get into this next match. I'm going to go out there and take a... You better not have done any further damage out there to that
I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. I give you my word. If I'm lying, I hope something happens to you.
To me? We'll find out very shortly if, in fact, he
Duggan.
did any further damage. Plenty more action still to come, and we'll be right back.
Well,
do what? I will. As soon as we get into the feature, I will come out and take a look, yes.
No, you got to stay here and co-host this thing with me.
That was one of the erectors for the new set. I want to see exactly...
Hey, there's nothing to see.
Well,
I mean, no damage was done.
No damage was done.
No damage was done at all. Take my word for it.
No, I don't take your word for it. Our feature match still to come here this week on Primetime Wrestling. Well, it's feature time this week here on Primetime Wrestling. Bam Bam Bigelow and taking on the Honky Tonk Man. And while this match is in progress, I'm going out back and have him bring up the new set.
No, don't bring up the new set.
Why not?
Let's wait till next week and surprise everybody.
I'm bringing it out here. I promised these folks out here that they'd take a look at it and see the new set, and they, in fact, are.
Okay, I got an idea.
What?
Tease them a bit. Just bring the back of the set out.
What do you mean just the back?
Don't have to bring the table part.
We're going to see the whole thing.
Oh, you're not.
Right now, let's go to ringside, New Haven, Connecticut, for our outstanding primetime feature. Folks, first of all, I'd like to apologize to everyone. We're going to... Yes, guys, please, bring it in right now. I am completely disgusted with you. All we can show is the back half of this new set.
Looks great, don't it?
The front looked great, too, but I understand you broke another piece of it.
I didn't break it.
You didn't, huh?
It fell off the truck. The thing's on wheels. How am I supposed to know the thing's on wheels?
Brain, I've just about had it with you. You know, you can only take so much, and I've had it right up to here with you. Look, isn't that lovely? Well, the front half is even lovelier. And we could have showed it here had you not stuck your nose in... That's it. Take your tools. Do whatever you want to do. Next week, you'll be here all by yourself because I will not be here. I cannot take it anymore. I want you to either make up your mind, resolve yourself that you're either going to keep your hands off things that don't concern you and just do what you're supposed to do out here. Otherwise, I will not be back ever. This is it for me.
Wait a minute. You're going to... Wait a minute. You can't... Come here, Monsoon.
I'm not leaving this either.
He thinks he's going to stick me here next week with this incompetent staff and a busted up set. He probably broke. I'll find where he's going to be next week. I'm not staying here either. Get the hell out of here.
So the Brain broke the set twice now as Gorilla Monsoon has had enough. And it sounds like he apparently quits Primetime Wrestling. Say it ain't so, Gorilla. Gorilla Monsoon walking off, and I'm sure I bought this as a kid, leaving the Brain trailing behind. So who's going to close out the show? Let's find out.
Thank you, sweetheart. I feel sorry for that Gorilla Monsoon. At least she has to work with that creep Bobby Heenan. Man, what a nice set. Look at that. Can you believe it, huh? Thank you, dear. That Bobby Heenan can't keep his hands off anything. Let him touch with that, it's going to be in a complete shambles next week. Last thing they're going to need is a telephone. As I said before, I feel so sorry for Gorilla Monsoon. Hey, that was a nice set. Bobby Heenan did that? That's incredible. Who knows? I may have to be back here next time out to host this show with all of the great superstars. Yeah, get rid of this, too. This is not... And no reason for any of this. This, look at what he's done here. Are you kidding me? They've got this out. What is this, some kind of a blueprint? Looks like something Lord Alfred Hayes might have done in his spare time. Well, for Bobby Heenan, who is AWOL, and Gorilla Monsoon, who is MIA, and a nice set. Alicia, come back here. I need more powder. This has been Gene Okerlund for all of us at Primetime saying, have a good week. So long, everybody. It'll all be mine someday.
So Mean Gene Okerlund subbing in for Heenan and Gorilla to close the show. The lights dimming here. Mean Gene sitting in front of a piece of the new Primetime set, so we know it's coming here. Lovely lady Alicia coming in to put a little makeup on the face of Okerlund as he stares into her chestular area and says, what a nice set. Of course, he was talking about the Primetime set, of course, because it's Mean Gene. And that's going to conclude this week's Primetime Wrestling. Just one exclusive here this week, but what a big one it was, at least on paper. Going back to April 21st, New Haven at the Coliseum in Connecticut, WWF Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk Man with Jimmy Hart defeating Bam Bam Bigelow with Oliver Humperdinck. Honky Tonk going to do it on a count out here. Match goes about 5.5 minutes as Honky and Bigelow fighting on the floor. Bammer knocking the champion back into the ring, but unable to get back in the ring before the count of 10 himself. So somewhat similar to his finish with the Gang at WrestleMania. A little different, but some similarities as well. So Honky Tonk over Bam Bam on a count out. That would have been fun had we gotten a real match between those two. But we don't stop here. We roll on another whole week of WWF action to get into here this week on the Grenade. WWF Superstars, May the 14th. Tape back April 21st, New Haven, Connecticut at the Coliseum. Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura per the usual. And to the ring for Hacksaw Jim Duggan, taking on Chris Duffy. As Duggan going to start this one out, atomic drop, sending Duffy into the corner. Chris going to roll out to the apron, go up to the top rope, but he's slammed off by Duggan, who then lands his patented knee drop, wind-up slam, and the three-point stance into the clothesline, scoring the win in 1 minute and 42 seconds. Tough guy. So super over is Hacksaw as he continues his feud with Andre the Giant, and Duggan going to need all the support he can get from the fans when he takes on the eighth wonder of the world. As we roll off now to Update and Lord Alfred Hayes, this week's topic, the Tag Team Champions, Demolition.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's Update.
Hello, everyone. This is Lord Alfred Hayes with Update. The World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions Demolition are said to be the most destructive force ever. Their icy hearts render them indifferent to the callous ways they dispatch their adversaries. And this, combined with their immense size and crushing power, give them an aura of invincibility. The question is, can they be stopped? Our leading tag team contenders believe they can. Let us hear their views.
Hi, we're the Rougeau brothers. Remember, Demolition, blood is thicker than water.
Yeah. The Demolition's weakness is one thing. They don't think for themselves, they listen to Mr. Fuji. You have to think for yourself.
Demolition, we're young, we're fast, and we're hungry.
And we're two stallions that you can't break.
Demolition, you have one weakness. You are not superior like us, Russian athlete.
Each team believes they hold the key knowledge of how to unseat the champions. They certainly have valid points, but Axe and Smash heed only the devious Mr. Fuji.
Everybody knows why we're the world champions. Because we're the biggest, we're the strongest, and we got Master Fuji.
We've got Fuji behind us. We've got strength. We've got in here what it takes. We're the best and strongest in the world.
So the question there is, can Demolition be stopped? And we hear from multiple tag teams who believe they are the team that can stop Demolition. The fabulous Rougeau's, the Islanders, Young Stallions, Bolsheviks, just some of the teams currently gunning for the tag team champions. And looking at some of those names there, thank God there's a slew of brand new tag teams making their way in here over the summer months. But we also heard there from Axe and Smash, who are very confident that they will retain their titles. As we go back to the ring for singles action, Bad News Brown taking on Carmine Cerise. And it's another Bad News beatdown, both in the ring and outside. Nasty bump to the floor by Cerise, by the way. Almost looked like he landed on his face. And then once back in the ring, it's the Ghetto Blaster. And Bad News going to put his foot on the chest of Carmine to score the win. 1 minute and 33 seconds. And up next, more action. This time, Bam Bam Bigelow with manager Sir Oliver Humperdinck. Bammer taking on Barry Horowitz this week. And we get an insert promo from Humperdinck, who is simply promoting the ice cream bars. Oliver Humperdinck eating an ice cream bar there. No mention of Bam Bam. No mention of his feud with the gang. Nothing. So that's kind of where we are with Bigelow's future at this point, it would seem. Horowitz hoping to gain the upper hand by attacking Bigelow to start the matchup, but that only upsets the Bammer, who comes back with a big clothesline and a backdrop. Finally, it's a vertical suplex, followed by a slingshot splash back into the ring, the nuclear bomb, I believe Bigelow calls it, scoring the win in 1 minute and 38 seconds as we are back off to the event center. Mean Gene Okerlund going to talk with Bret the Hitman Hart and Andre the Giant.
All right, hi again, everybody. Gene Okerlund back in the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. So many things are happening these days in the World Wrestling Federation. One match that I would not miss for all of the tea in China. Is that right? Is that Boston? It's gone from there. That's Bad News Brown meeting this man, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Bad News Brown, Mr. Double Cross, the man that pushed the Hitman too far. You may have double-crossed me, and you may have got your little trophy busted up, but as far as I'm concerned, Bad News Brown, you are nothing. You are nothing. You may be undefeated since you've been in the WWF, but you haven't been in the ring with the Hitman. Not the Hitman, not the greatest technical wrestler of all time. Yeah, you're from Harlem, and you're real tough. You put fear in all these other wrestlers, but you don't put any fear in me. I come from the dungeon. I know more wrestling holds than you'll ever know. But when I get in the ring with you, I'm going to prove one thing. That you can be beat. And I'm going to beat you so bad, Bad News Brown, it's going to make you sick.
All right, that has got to be one of the real classic confrontations that one would see in the World Wrestling Federation. Two of the finalists in the big Battle Royal, Invitational Battle Royal from WrestleMania 4. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, sooner or later, to meet Andre the Giant, standing by with Bobby Heenan.
You know, there's been thousands of wrestlers that stood across the ring, looked into these men's eyes, left that dressing room with the palms wet, the knees knocking, knowing that they had to step into the ring with Andre the Giant. But what kind of a man is this Hacksaw Duggan? Comes into the ring with a board and knocks this man unconscious. I don't even know if you're human, Duggan. I don't even know if I want this thing to happen, this kind of a match. But you're going to pay because you woke this man up, and you woke something inside of him that only he can put out.
I think, Duggan, you don't know what you did. But you'll find out what you did. Because now you got me mad, Duggan. And believe me, when I'm mad, I'm mad. And now I am mad, Duggan. Oh, Duggan, when I get you again.
All right, Andre the Giant, only one like him, 7'4.5", and of course over 500 pounds, the legendary Andre the Giant right now has his sights set on Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and vice versa, by the way, for that matter. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, a very proud and very popular man these days here on the World Wrestling Federation.
So the Hitman continuing to vow revenge on Mr. Double Cross, Bad News Brown. Andre still looking for Cross-Eyed Duggan. I know, I do a bad Andre, but I just get a kick out of Andre referring to Duggan as Cross-Eyed Duggan. As we go back to the ring, we see a couple of the enhancement workers standing by, Tony Leone and Rick Gantner, and they're getting ready to take on the team of Jacques and Raymond, the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And I underlined fabulous there in my show notes, guys, as we get an insert promo, and it's another fun anti-heel promo from the Rougeaus, who reassure everyone that they do not like Dino Bravo. They love the USA. Jesse Ventura continuing to bash the Rougeaus here, while Vince McMahon putting them over, though he acknowledges the fans booing them, as clearly all of the commentators are apparently blind as to what's going on here with the Rougeau brothers in recent weeks. Clearly only the fans, us at home, are picking up on it. So we'll just have to wait and see this play out, eh, guys? As a great Boston Crab knee drop combo here on Gantner, very aggressive as of late have the Rougeaus been, as it's Le Bombe de Rougeau on Leone, going to give the fabulous Rougeaus the win, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. And then post-match, Gantner, for good measure, eating a Rougeau bomb as well, because that's just a babyface thing to do. Hit your finisher on a guy post-match. but I'm enjoying watching the ascension of the Rougeau brothers here in 1988. As we go back to the event center now, Mean Gene going to speak with the one-man gang. I'm sure his manager Slick going to be there as well. We're also going to hear from Strikeforce.
All right, so many things happening these days. As usual, I talk about them here in the World Wrestling Federation. One of the classic matchups would have to be Bam Bam Bigelow, a young man who is from Asbury Park, New Jersey. That's Bruce Springsteen's hometown, as well as Danny DeVito's hometown. Bam Bam Bigelow meeting the one-man gang. Gang is standing by with his manager, Slick.
Bam Bam Bigelow, I want you to take a long, hard look at this face. A long, hard look, homeboy, at this body. Because it belongs to the one man that you will never be able to defeat. This is the man who embarrassed you in WrestleMania 4. This is the man who caused your elimination from the tournament to determine the world's heavyweight champion. And this is the man who the next time he faces you, the next time he climbs into the square circle with you, this is, homeboy, the man that's gonna beat you like you was a little boy standing before your daddy being punished for doing something wrong. This is a man that's gonna make you get on your hands and knees and beg for mercy.
All right, the one-man gang along with manager, the Doctor of Style, the Tapper, debonair Doctor of Style, Slick, only one like him. Maybe thank goodness. Here's a great one, Strikeforce. They felt they were jobbed out of the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles in WrestleMania 4. They would love to beat Demolition.
Yes, Fuji and Demolition, just like the thieves that you are, you stole the belts from Strikeforce. Yes, at WrestleMania 4, everybody's seen it. But you know, crime doesn't pay, and it's not gonna start paying now. No, sir, you can take Strikeforce's word for it, because we're coming after you, and we're gonna take away from you what belongs to us, the Tag Team Championship.
You know, there's only one good thing about Demolition and Mr. Fuji, is how they lie. They stand here and look at you straight into the eyes and tell you that Fuji did not get involved in that match in WrestleMania 4. They've convinced themselves, but you haven't convinced anybody else. Merely saw what happened. When it's over and done with, the truth will come out, baby, and the belts will come back to their rightful owners, Strikeforce!
All right, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, Strikeforce, former tag team champions. Tomorrow wouldn't be soon enough for the Strikeforce to get into the ring with Axe and Smash. The Demolition effective March the 27th of 1988, becoming the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions.
So I loved it. Slick coining a phrase, gang violence. I love it. The one-man gang and his gang violence. Coming for everybody here in the WWF, but most specifically Bam Bam Bigelow at this point in time. Strikeforce still heated over that tainted loss at WrestleMania, but just more of the same promo there from Tito and Rick. They really don't have a lot more to say. As we go back to the ring for Brutus the Barber Beefcake, taking on Woody Lee, as it's a basic barber squash. Not much to look at here. Power slam by Beefer, and then Brute Eye locking in the sleeper hold, scoring the win in 2 minutes and 1 second. And as you may suspect by now, Woody Lee, with a name like that, deserves a post-match haircut. As we continue on to a replay, we go back to highlights of the Rick Rude, Cheryl Roberts, Jake Roberts angle from just a week or two ago here on Superstars. And then we head back up to the platform this week. Special interview, Craig DeGeorge standing by with ravishing Rick Rude and manager Bobby Heenan.
I'd like to get down very quickly to an issue, something that happened in a recent... I know what you want to hear about, little man. You want to know what happened between myself and the wife of Jake the Snake Roberts. Well, what it was this. When I stood in the ring and took my robe off, I saw her sitting in the front row. I saw the look in her eye, that gleam. I saw the goosebumps jumping up on her skin, and I knew she wanted me. So I just stepped out of the ring to give that lady the thrill of a lifetime.
Oh, wait a minute. Obviously, she slapped you in the face. She wasn't interested in you.
Wait just a minute, little man. You are obviously very inexperienced yourself. Ravishing Rick Rude knows that some ladies like to play hard to get. And all I did was go along with her little game. But what I'm really wondering is this. Jake Roberts, what hurt worse? To know that your woman longs for my ravishing touch, or to know that there ain't nothing you can do about it. Let's be generous. Let's give one of the ladies here, and I use that term loosely, the rude awakening. Okay, now, only one. You. Come on, Toots. We don't have all night. He's a busy man. Get ready. Now, if Jake the Snake's wife is here, don't come running up. You had your chance, sister. Eat your heart out.
Oh, isn't that great, man?
Jake the Snake is going to feel the rude awakening. And Jake the Snake's wife right now wishes she was in the arms of ravishing Rick Rude.
Look at she fainted, McMahon.
To have the rude awakening.
Did you see that? That girl fainted, McMahon. She fainted.
Can't believe it.
Ravishing Rick Rude. He's going to be the one that gets the rude awakening.
So Rick Rude talking Cheryl Roberts here, talking about the gleam in her eye when he removed his robe. Rick then left the ring, met her at her ringside seat to give her the thrill of her life. And he could plainly see that Cheryl was playing hard to get. Well, Rude decided he'd play along with her, play along with Mrs. Roberts, as Jake Roberts clearly no match for the manliness of ravishing Rick. And then to close out the segment, another lovely lady pulled from the audience, another lady receiving the rude awakening kiss as we close out the segment. What an unsavory fellow is this Rick Rude. And we roll on. Wow, as promised last week, almost forgot about this feature match this week. It's Boris Zukov of the Bolsheviks. He's got his manager Slick and Nikolai Volkov in his corner here, taking on former WWF champion Hulk Hogan. My God, right here on syndicated TV. And we kick things off with a Russian national anthem as sang by Nikolai and Boris. And this is the first time in nearly a year. It's not since Memorial Day weekend last year, remember, Hulk Hogan versus Cowboy Bob Orton. Remember the matchup where the rope broke? They didn't bother to reshoot it, brother. But what a surprise here. Hogan simply can't stay away from the TV, from the masses, even while in Hollywood, dude. Hulk Hogan back on WWF television here as the Russians, wasting no time, both Bolsheviks attacking Hogan as he enters the ring. And the Hulkster, though, quickly battling back, double noggin knocker, clearing the ring, sending Nikolai over the top rope and dropping Boris with a big right hand. And I wrote in my notes, my God, is Hulk Hogan over here? As Boris Zukov manages to somehow take control very briefly after a boot to the gut of the Hulkster, stomping and choking Hogan down to the mat. But Hulk, he finally has enough of the formalities, though, and quickly hulks up after a backbreaker from Boris. Doesn't even let Boris get a 1 count here. Poor Zukov. But Hogan hulking up, making the big comeback, the big boot, the body slam, and the leg drop, finishing off one half of the Bolsheviks in 1 minute and 59 seconds. And then post-match, Nikolai Volkov running in, but he runs right into a scoop slam from the Hulkster and a leg drop for Nikolai's trouble as well. And even Slick in the ring, eating an atomic drop to the floor for good measure. So Hulk Hogan taking out all 3 men here this week, Nikolai, Boris, and manager Slick. And then, of course, Hulk Hogan must pose, pal. And it's the waving of Old Glory, the American flag flying high to close this segment because America, dude. And while it was quite a shocker out of nowhere, Hulk Hogan appearing here on TV this week, after this, he's back to filming No Holds Barred for this summer. I don't think we're going to see Hogan back on our screens full-time until the hard sell for SummerSlam. And even after that, we've got one more match, kind of settle the crowd back down as we close out this episode of TV. I do believe we're at the end of this set of tapings. It would make sense for Hogan to go on this late in the show, as it's Outlaw Ron Bass out here now taking on Bert Centeno. Longtime WWF job guy is Centeno, at least moving forward. He's incorrectly identified here as Bert Centini for this matchup, as Vince referring to Outlaw Ron Bass as a mean, nasty varmint. Ron Bass, though, dominating the match early on. Centeno firing back with a pair of drop kicks, and then he goes up top. But the Outlaw going to knock Bert off the top out to the floor. as they show off the new WWF magazine article featuring the acknowledgement of Earl Hebner, the twin brother of Dave Hebner. So many months later, clearly they had some of this in production, and now we're finally learning that there's two Hebners, guys. There was never any plastic surgery, dude. So Earl Hebner, officially part of the WWF, at least storyline-wise. Is the Outlaw going to dominate here? Texas Gourdbuster, his version of the pedigree, going to score the win 1 minute and 52 seconds. And post-match, Miss Betsy going to get a piece of Centeno as well. As we close out this week's Superstars, we go back to the Event Center. Me and Gene Okerlund going to talk with the Honky Tonk Man, Ted DiBiase, and the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
I don't know how tough it would be for the reigning Intercontinental Champ, the Honky Tonk Man, to defend his title against the likes of a Brutus Beefcake without the services of his manager, Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart agitating, interfering, interjecting himself into matches. That's totally uncalled for. He'll be barred from many matches involving this man.
You know what am I barred from the building for? I never interfere with any of your matches. I can't believe this, Honky. This is ridiculous.
You'll try anything, won't you, Brutus? You will try anything. Bar Jimmy Hart from the building. Make sure Jimmy Hart's not around. Make sure I don't have anybody in my corner. Make sure the Honky Tonk Man can't do anything. I can't sing, I can't dance. You're wrong, Brutus. You're forgetting one little thing. A blast from the past. You won't put me to sleep, you won't cut my hair, and you won't get my belt.
All right, the Honky Tonk Man, the Intercontinental Champion, down there in Honky Land, USA, in Memphis, Tennessee, with the Honky Burgers, and of course his big recording contracts, he's too much. Ted DiBiase is the number one contender right now for the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight crown.
I said it before, I'll say it again, Randy Savage. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Everybody's got a price, period. So what was your price? How much did you pay Hulk Hogan to come down there and be your guardian angel and protect you? That's the only reason that belt is around your waist. That's the only reason you're the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, if you want to call yourself a champion right now. But next time you meet me, Randy Savage, you're going to be nothing but history.
$1 Million Man, you're a rock of jello, yeah, because your base, your foundation is the big dollar sign. Yeah, inspiration! That's gonna get you nowhere. I'm talking about an inspiration that could carry me past the sun, past the Milky Way, all the way to the other side. Yeah, the First Lady of Wrestling, momentum, inspiration, leading the Macho Man down the aisle and through the fans all over the world, yeah. Macho madness grows. Oh, it grows. I'm gonna beat you, yeah.
All right, getting comments from Ted DiBiase, number one contender, and of course, the number one man of the World Wrestling Federation right now, the undisputed World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, Macho Man Randy Savage. What about his manager, the First Lady, Elizabeth? What a team they make right here in the World Wrestling Federation.
Boy, some heavy hitters there. We heard from the WWF champion and the Intercontinental champion, and of course, the number one contender of the Macho Man's title, Ted DiBiase. Several of the top stars, several of the main eventers right now on the A and B shows for the World Wrestling Federation as May Sweeps continues on. This week, it was the Hulkster taking on Boris Zukov. Well, next week, we learned that it's going to be the WWF champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, in the ring right here on Superstars. And his opponent, Virgil. And we're going to hear closing comments from both sides.
Macho Man Randy Savage, World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. Let me tell you something, Macho Man. You are so lousy. You are such an incompetent champion that I'm going to give you Virgil. That's right. Virgil wants to take you on. So in front of the whole world, Mr. Macho Man, you are going to be embarrassed beyond belief.
Yeah, state of shock, yeah. Past the moon, past the stars, all the way past the night, all the way to the danger zone, Elizabeth. Yeah, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, you must be wanting to get rid of your bodyguard. Yeah, Ted DiBiase, you must be wanting to get rid of your bodyguard. Get rid of him for good, because you're beating him to the lions. And right here, next week, on TV, I'm going to finish Virgil off. I'm going to beat him so bad, and I'm going to teach him respect. Respect for the champion, yeah.
Join us next week right here on the Superstars of Wrestling when the Macho Man locks up with bodyguard Virgil.
So the $1 Million Man talking for his bodyguard Virgil, Macho Man, an easy defeat, so easy he's going to let Virgil do the job here next week on Superstars. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for the storyline, but I'll buy it here for TV, as we also hear from Randy Savage looking to feed Virgil to the Lions. Ending this episode of Superstars, we roll on to Wrestling Challenge, May the 15th, 1988, taped back April 22nd, Springfield, Massachusetts, at the Civic Center. Gorilla and Bobby on commentary here, off to the ring for Strikeforce, taking on Rick Gantner and Tony Ulysses. As we hear from an insert promo, Rick Martel and Tito Santana still gunning to regain the tag team titles from Demolition. As the matchup here, an extended squash. Strikeforce control the match early on. Now Tito will wind up in the heel corner at one point, but Gantner winds up hitting his own partner Ulysses, knocking him off the apron. And then from there, lots of arm work before late in the bout, Tony Ulysses decides to go up top, but he's slammed off by Rick Martel, and Tito tagged in for the flying forearm. Strikeforce finally going to score the win. Match goes 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Well, that was a fun kickoff for this week's Wrestling Challenge, but it gets even better, guys. Remember at the top of the show, I promised a debut this week? Well, look no further. Here it is. Right now, we're off to Special Report, but not with Lord Alfred Hayes. No, making his WWF debut, it's Special Report with Sean Mooney.
Let's get rid of these bananas. Will you
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney with this special report. In the Honky Tonk Man, the World Wrestling Federation has an intercontinental champion who easily displays a fierce bravado both in and out of the ring. Well, many people believe the self-proclaimed greatest intercontinental champion of all time draws much of his confidence from the pompadour which sits atop his head, and without it, he would lose much of his assuredness. Well, that theory was nearly put to the test at WrestleMania 4 in a match involving Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Then fate stepped in. Or maybe it was more than that. The path seems to be leading in only one direction, drawing the Honky Tonk Man and Brutus the Barber Beefcake still closer to a final confrontation. One must wonder just how long the Intercontinental Champion can hold on to his championship belt, and more importantly, his hair. Meanwhile, the Honky Tonk Man shows little concern for either threat. With this special report, I'm Sean Mooney.
The Mooney Man has arrived. The topic this week was the Honky Tonk Man, his feud with Brutus Beefcake. Sean Mooney asking just how long can the Total Entertainment Package retain the IC title and his hair. But let's be real, guys. This soundbite was all about the debut of Sean Mooney. And I promise you guys, we got some event centers right around the corner. As we continue on here with Wrestling Challenge, we get a replay from Saturday night's main event. More action. This week, ravishing Rick Rude over the Birdman Coco Beware. And then back to the event center. It's Mean Gene Okerlund talking with Jake the Snake Roberts.
All right, how to Gene Okerlund back at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. Ravishing Rick Rude certainly is the source of a lot of conversation, the subject of a lot of a conversation these days. And I'll tell you who's doing a lot of talking about Ravishing Rick Rude is a man sooner or later, Mr. Rude, you're going to meet. Here's Jake the Snake Roberts.
She had a reason to be there, man. She came down to see me. She doesn't do that too often. You had a reason to pick her out of the audience because she was the finest one sitting around. She had a reason to slap you, Rick Rude. And then you had a reason to reach out and grab her in your own mind. In my mind, though, I've got a reason to do what I want to do. And believe me, Rick Rude, it's just like my talent and just like the devastating DDT. It's the biggest reason of all. I've got a bigger reason than you do.
All right, what a bag of tricks this Jake the Snake Roberts has got. The great.
So there it is, Jake talking his wife Cheryl, slapping Rick Rude, and the Snake Man, he also has something he wants to do to Rick Rude as well. Looking forward to those matches in the upcoming weeks and months, but right now it's back to the ring for the one-man gang with manager Slick taking on Mario Mancini, as we get an insert promo here from Sir Oliver Humperdinck. And this time he's not eating an ice cream bar. Humperdinck putting over Bam Bam Bigelow is every bit as good of a big man as the one-man gang, as this feud seems to be running on fumes at this point, which truly is unfortunate with guys this size that can move like they can. But outside of some back-and-forth commentary, those old I'm better than you promos, they've done nothing for this feud on TV, unless you count WrestleMania. Nevertheless, these two still headlining many of the C shows out there near you. As the action gets going, gang gonna attack Mancini here, and it's that gang violence they were talking about earlier in a promo. Taking down Mario, big elbow drop, and the gourd buster going to score the win for the gang. 1 minute and 30 seconds. The action continues on. Killer Bees out here taking on Iron Mike Sharp and Terry Gibbs. And we get an insert promo here from the fabulous Rougeau brothers, who say there are no good guys, no bad guys, and no prejudice, as they'll be facing the Bees in upcoming matches, and may the best team win. So setting up their house show matches between the two. And of course, we talked about that last week on the Grenade, the Rougeaus winning every single one by chicanery. And as the match gets going here, I noticed Terry Gibbs trimming down and getting a little jacked up in the upper body here. Meanwhile, Iron Mike Sharp looks the same for about 15 years in a row here. The Killer Bees on the offense most of the way through. Gibbs, though, able to take over on Jumpin' Jim after blasting him on the apron from behind. The heel's going to work Brunzie over until Gibbs telegraphs a backdrop. Brunzell able to make the tag out to B. Brian Blair. And Iron Mike Sharp in as well, as the crowd seems indifferent. For the Killer Bees, it's unfortunate. Mike Sharp going to eat a pair of drop kicks, first from Blair, and then turning into one from Jim Brunzell. Going to end the match. The Killer Bees going over 3 minutes and 37 seconds. And it's back off to Craig DeGeorge up on the platform. Special interview this week with Dino Bravo and Frenchie Martin, as we see the old USA is not okay sign, drawing even more USA chants from the fans, almost like they wanted that to happen. Dino addressing the recent comments made from Ken Patera and stating that Bravo's record was bogus and that Dino is not the world's strongest man. Well, Bravo says, much like America, Patera stinks. Ooh, damn. Dim's fighting words, Dino. Frenchie then going to speak some French, and that ends that. And I swear Vince had some kind of fetish with Dino Bravo during this stretch to keep giving him things to do for another 3 years. My God. Another replay from Saturday night's main event. Ted DiBiase scoring a awkward win over The Rock, Don Morocco. No help with Superstar Graham on the outside. So we head back to the ring for more tag team action here on Challenge. The Bolsheviks with Slick taking on Brady Boone and Billy Woods. Good to see he finally got that ring jacket off after that match with DiBiase. As the Russians looking to hope to get a little heat back here after that loss to Hulk Hogan, brother. Of course, singing their national anthem, the Russian anthem, before the bell. Bobby Heenan referring to Mike McGurk this week as Spike McGurk. Gorilla Monsoon stating that you always have a dog on your mind, Brain, as Volkov going to land some nice-looking suplexes and a big clothesline. We get an insert promo mid-match from the heels, who feel that they are the team to beat Demolition. Oh, I would have loved to have seen that. Heel Demolition versus heel Bolsheviks. Sign me up. And then at one point, Nikolai delivering a big clothesline, sending Boone for a flip. I guess you could call that the Russian sickle. And then finally, Billy Woods tags in, starts off fast, but misses a drop kick. And Boris going to lock in a bear hug here in the matchup. Boone breaking up the bear hug by drop kicking Woods in the back, sending him on top of Boris. Good spot there from Brady Boone. But Volkov with a clothesline from behind, blasting Woods in the back of the head as he stumbles forward into Zhukov's Russian hammer. So I guess you could call that the Russian sickle and hammer there to finish off Mr. Woods in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. What's a Russian hammer, Ray? Well, it's a Polish hammer, only done by a Russian. And then it's back to the event center with Mean Gene Okerlund talking to the Islanders, Bobby Heenan, and the other side with the British Bulldogs.
All right, there are a preponderance of tag teams, great tag teams. I mean, the best ever in the World Wrestling Federation right now. You take a look at the Demolition World Tag Team Champions, hot on their heels, Strike Force, Tito Santana, Rick Martel, the former champions, the Killer Bees, the fabulous Rougeau's. That list can go on and on. A couple of the very best right now, top contending tag teams, have to be the British Bulldogs. And the British Bulldogs are going to have to go through men like the Islanders before they can make it to the Demolition.
You know, I don't like foreigners. I don't like somebody that talks with an English accent. And I don't like dogs. So if you put it all together and you get a British Bulldog and two guys from England, think how much I like them. Not at all.
You know what that means, Bulldog? That means you're dumb, you're stupid, you're nothing. We are the #1 tag team in the WWF. And another thing is, get your English right so people can understand you, fool.
And I'm going to have a big surprise coming very, very soon. You can bank on that. Okay, guys, sick 'em.
All right, the Islanders, Haku and Tama, along with their manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Would not be fair to talk about the Islanders without talking to Davy Boy Smith, the Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldogs.
You know, the Islanders and Weasel come out here saying they don't like foreigners. Well, let me tell you something, Islanders and Heenan. We don't like Islanders taking away something that belongs to us. And no, Islanders, it's payback time, and we're going to show you what a real British Bulldog and the real British Bulldogs are made of. Isn't that right, Dynamite?
That's right, David boy. What's that, Matilda? Oh, Matilda's got a special surprise for you Islanders. When we get in that ring, she's going to be at ringside with us, and she's all enthusiastic, just like the Bulldogs are all enthusiastic, and we're going to beat you from pillar to post. I'm telling you right now, Dynamite in the ring, Dave Boy in the ring, Matilda's going to be at ringside, make sure there's no outside interference, and you better get ready for World War III.
All right, the British Bulldogs, the Dynamite Kid, Davy Boy Smith, themselves, by the way, are former tag team champions. Then you can round it out with great teams like the Bolsheviks, so that list goes on and on. So suffice to say, tremendous tag team competition today here on the World Wrestling Federation.
There's some interesting words there from the Brain. He doesn't like foreigners. He doesn't like British accents. Wait a minute. He does like foreigners. Andre's from France. The Islanders are from... I guess Samoa's part of this. Well, potato. Anywho, Bulldogs still not done with the Islanders. They remember that dog napping at the beginning of the year. And Matilda certainly hasn't forgotten. So we are nearly 6 months into this feud. And at this point, they had planned to keep it going through the summer. As we get closing comments now for the program, remember the challenge was laid out by Ken Patera. Next week, we will get that feat of strength right here on Wrestling Challenge, and we're going to hear from both sides. Dino Bravo and the Olympian, Ken Patera.
Not too crazy, the Frenchman, Ken Patera. You fell into the trap at tug of war with Dino Bravo.
That's right, Frenchy. The whole world knows I'm the strongest man in the world. And next week on national TV, I'm going to prove it again to you. Ken USA Patera, you don't stand a chance.
Dino Bravo, when I won these medals in the Pan American Games, I was proclaimed the world's strongest man. And now you have challenged me to a tug of war. You say that I have fallen into your trap? Well, we'll just have to wait and see next week who fell into whose trap. And Frenchie Martin, you little rat, keep your nose out of my business.
You won't want to miss this next week right here on Wrestling Challenge, plus a whole lot more. The big tug of war between Kenny Patera and Dino Bravo. Until next week, Gorilla Monsoon for the Brain, saying so long, everybody.
Well, that'll set that up, guys. Ken Patera and Dino Bravo right here next week in a feat of strength in the ring on Wrestling Challenge. Can't wait for that. As we close out this week's Grenade, guys, one more piece of business. Primetime Wrestling for May the 16th, hosted by Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon. And remember, Gorilla quit Primetime last week, so this week we're not on set, but rather we are on location, reportedly at Commandant Swegler's home. That's Nelson Swegler, former director and producer here with the WWF, longtime employee of the World Wrestling Federation. So we're at supposedly Nelson Swegler's home or summer residence, lakeside here. Not really sure what's going on, but we do see Gorilla Monsoon fishing, enjoying his time off in a boat. Bobby Heenan trying to retrieve Gorilla, get him back to the Primetime Wrestling set, which is currently being reconstructed, and it'll be ready next week, guys. I promise. Right here on the Grenade and right there on Primetime. Now, Bobby out there in his own boat getting stuck on the lake with a bushel of bananas, trying to lure Gorilla back to the Primetime Studios, while Monsoon returning to land to cover the rest of Primetime Wrestling here this week. So some fun bits in between, no real sound bites because it's more of a visual than an audio type situation. But again, they promise next week the new set will be ready, guys. So stay tuned for that. And unfortunately, no exclusive matches here this week on Primetime. So that's going to wrap it up here for the Grenade. And what a fun time it was. My God, 2 more weeks in the books. Unbelievable. We're in the middle of May now in 1988, and it just keeps rolling. New Primetime set. Sean Mooney has arrived. Big Boss Man around the corner, which means the Rockers aren't too far away as well, and these feuds continue on. The Macho Man taking on Virgil next week. Unbelievable. Of course, DiBiase, no doubt, going to be ringside for that one. And what's the feat of strength? Spoiler, guys. Tug of War next week. Dino Bravo and Ken Patera, all of that and so much more. Can't wait to be back with you guys. But for now, just a quick reminder, follow me on X at Wrestling Grenade. Follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And even more importantly, please subscribe to wherever you listen to the show, your favorite podcast streaming platform. It's very important that you sign up, you subscribe. It really helps the brand in the long run. And of course, if you have time, leave that 5-star rating to help the show grow as well. And last, but certainly not least, check it out, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Got a couple of great tiers going on right now for you guys with so many gifts. And it all goes back to you helping me pay the bills, help support the brand to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, all the great shows here up and running. But for now, we're going to step away. We'll be back soon with 2 more weeks of WWF TV for May in 1988. But for now, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
Let's get rid of these bananas. Will you
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney with this special report.
You see, we have a third Islander.
Wow.
A brand new Islander.
I knew he didn't have the kind of guts you were talking about.
Right now,
but he's got brains, so don't he?
From the Isle of Samoa, High Chief, the Samoan warrior, Aussie.
And right here, next week, I'm gonna prove that for 4.5 long years, brothers, the largest arms in the world have reigned supreme. And me and all of my little Hulkamaniacs are the superior race of people.
Well, join us next week, ladies and gentlemen, when Hulkamania will be running wild on the superstars of wrestling.